Hi, I'm John Waterhouse. Welcome to our Monday night class with Barbara Waterhouse, where she's exploring the wisdom of the science of mind in its original form from the original textbook written by Ernest Holmes. And it's a great class. And although she refers to this as class 4 and then changes it to class 3, in this series, the way we've organized it, this is actually class 5. So we're going to just turn this over to Barbara and let her dazzle you tonight. She's in full form, doing exactly what is her genius. And I'm sure that there's going to be wonderful things that you'll receive from this. And at the end, come back and we'll close out the class together. Have a great one.
Give your body a little oxygen and let it out. Take another deep breath. And we always know. And what we know is that there is one infinite, absolute, creative something. It is in, through, and as all things. It is beyond time and space. It is infinite. It is self-existent. It is absolute first cause. And that oneness, since there is nothing other than it, creates out of itself and becomes that which it created. So whatever is created out of spirit, God, life, love, whatever word you want to use to describe it. And because it is created out of that, then it is whatever that is. So we are whatever God is. We are whatever spirit is because we are created out of spirit stuff. We are created out of God stuff and nothing else. So breathe that in. We are spiritual beings because we are created out of spirit. We live in a spiritual universe because the universe is created out of spirit. And all is governed by spiritual law. So right here and right now, we claim for ourselves all of the wisdom of the divine, all of the intelligence of God itself. We know our lives are a perfect idea manifested in form. We allow ourselves to embrace that perfection in our physical bodies, in our finances, in our relationships, and in everything that we do. We are joyful beings of light and love. That is our true nature. And whatever we need to learn tonight, we learn, and we learn it easily, and we get it, and we use it in our lives. This is the best class ever, because it is the class of spirit. Given by spirit to spirit because it's all spirit. So with wonderful celebration, gratitude, and thanksgiving, we let this go into all that God is, all that spirit is, because spirit is all, as together we say, and so it is. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Come on in, Roxanne and Elise. Is there anybody in the room who has not been in this class before? Wonderful. I just want to point out, Gina, will you wave your book? Gina got this on Amazon for $5. And I'm delighted that someone else is publishing the original Science of Mind, which is in public domain. You guys can publish it if you wanted. All you had to do is market it, and evidently you can get it on Amazon. John used to have his book on Amazon before divorce picked it up. So if you want the original Science of Mind textbook, you can get it on Amazon. The page numbers will be different. That's the only thing. But we're doing it introduction, one reading, lesson, one reading, recapitulation, one reading. So you really don't have to have the page numbers because we're doing it more in units rather than in pages. So you had a lot of reading this week. Now I want you to know if you didn't understand it, it's okay. If you didn't do it, it's okay. How could it not be okay? Everything's God. But if you didn't do it, you might be a little confused as we move forward tonight. So rather than stay confused, raise your hand. And just because you raise your hand doesn't mean you didn't do it. But I want to make sure everybody comes together. I had one person say, oh, I'm not taking your class because I want to do the reading. I said, gosh, you're always welcome to come. Everybody's always welcome to come. And the purpose of being in class is to learn. So if you don't learn it at home, it's okay. You can learn it together here. Deep breath. Is everybody okay? Good. Because I know, class anxiety is high for some people. Whenever we have tests, which we do in practitioner class, people freak out. Even though I've told them over and over and over again, this is going to be a group test. It's an open book test. It's an open dialogue test. We're going to all answer the question at once. We're going to read it out loud. We're going to talk about it and come up with an answer. And then we're all going to write it down and we're all going to get an A+. Still, okay, next week is the test. So I don't want you to freak out because I looked at this reading and it really was quite a lot. So what we have, any other questions before we jump in? I want you to know I love this stuff. People think I'm crazy. I love this stuff because it answers so many questions. I mean, who would have thought you could answer the questions of what are we doing here and what's life all about with a circle and 2 lines? Who would have thought that until you get into science of mind and start looking at some of these really big words. But in the book, we're going to go to page 55, doesn't have a page number on it. And this is metaphysical chart number 1 because it's talking about the big picture. You're going to have other metaphysical charts that are going to talk about us personally and how our life works. This is talking about the really big picture. So we have words like spirit. What does that mean? I throw it around so often. What does that mean? Our true self. That would be that bigger part of us. What else? What does spirit mean? First cause. Thank you, Michaela.
It means the inner self.
The inner self is kind of like our true self. Great, that bigger part of us. Again, this is a circle on the absolute, on the really big level, instead of on the relative, on the individual level. So what else? What does spirit mean? What is your name?
Paula.
Paula. What does spirit mean?
All that is.
Pardon me?
All that is.
All that is. First cause. Who else has something to throw out here?
Eternal self.
Let's just use, yeah, we can use eternal self. All that is. Now, those are more attributes. Those are our descriptions. Better check and see if he already has that in here though before. Yeah, he's got peace, poise. Yeah. So yes, yes. So what he's got in the book is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. Remember that? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. And omniscient means what? All-knowing. Omnipotent means what? All-powerful. And omnipresent means what? So we'll just do the omnis. Means all, everything. And remember, this idea of spirit is one aspect of whatever it is that's going on. You can use the word God. I know God freaks some people out. And it's such a limited word, God. Like, what is God? What is that anyway? For me, I still am tempted to flip over to a guy on a cloud, who's just pissed off. At me, in particular. Talk about projecting the smallness of us. We're supposed to be made in the image and likeness of God, and instead we've made God in the image and likeness of the worst of us, and then given it all power. So let's not go there. But what we have is something that is energetic, it's vibrational, it's light, it's love, it's peace and joy and poise. It is more than everything that would be in physical form. So we have to kind of jump out of our, well, I'll believe it when I see it kind of mindset and step out into the world that says this, all of this, if you don't want to go to it's not real, it's but a reflection of that which is real. So that which is real is unseen. So it is the great unseen. It is more than time and space. Where does time and space go in this circle? Bottom, which we go ahead and put body in. So this would be, it's actually a space-time continuum. This would be the body of everything, the universe body, the body of our affairs. It would be us. It would be all of time and space, all people, all places. Think about this, all time, the past and the future. Remember when I talked about how it puzzles quantum physicists that we can so easily change the future, but we haven't figured out yet how to change the past. So when we're looking at time, we go, oh, well, the past is set. The future is open for any possibilities. And quantum physics says the past is also open for all possibilities. And we play with that with recreate your childhood, tell a different story about what happened, you know, make it into something different than you think it is because you made it into what you think it is to begin with. So you might as well make it into something that works better for you. But quantum physics is taking it even farther and saying, no, we can change the past to where it didn't happen. Genocides, wars, holocausts, didn't happen. Can you imagine when humanity evolves to a point where our consciousness is so clear that we can change all of the stuff that brought us to where we are? And people say, oh, if you don't have the stuff that brought us to where you are, you don't have where you are. No. If you move into pure love, all there is love. And there is no room for anything unlike that. And that changes the past into pure love. Have you ever forgiven an ex?
Yes.
What happened? You experienced freedom. Yes, what, Terry? Peace in your life. Who said something over here? Judith.
Freeing from anger.
You get free from anger. Did it ever change the story?
Mm-mm.
Well, maybe he wasn't, or she wasn't such a dirty, rotten rat and fratchet anyway. Maybe that was a pretty decent person. Change the past. Can you imagine if we do it collectively? And since there is no time, then it would be every being that ever lived. How many billions of individualized consciousnesses would that be? To come together in clarity and love. And what would that do? What would that do? That is the path you are on. You are the light bearers, bringing an awakened awareness to all of humanity. Sherry.
Well, I often think of Neville Goddard, and he speaks to the pruning shears of revision. And I Googled it. I know I have it in a book somewhere at home, but I Googled it not too long ago, and the whole chapter is online about how to intentionally go back and change that.
Right?
So it's...
Why do we want to carry around a bummer of a past? It's like a ball and chain around our foot. And then we're complaining we can't fly. Well, of course not. We put a ball and chain around our foot.
But I've also experienced where I want to work with someone and say, hey, you have fun, why don't we just change the story about the past? And an individual said, it's happened, I'm willing to change it, it's a part of me.
Right.
And so there's that choice. So we can choose.
The banner of victimization is
Mhm.
strong in identity, and it's supported by our society. Oh, poor baby, this didn't happen to you. You need 25 years of therapy and all of, forgive me, all of you therapists in the room, I'm sure you don't do that. Jane?
Well, I think changing the past brings relief.
Yes, it does, it brings relief. Because it allows us to let go of that which is limiting and move into that which is great. So I love playing with time and space. You know, you can bend time. If you're late going somewhere, it was easier before we had clocks in our cars. But you can bend time, you can, and you do it all the time. Think about last time you were bored, not in this class. Think about the last time you were bored. And time just dragged on. And then think about the last time you were having a really exciting time. You were at the movies, or you were at the fair, or you were with great people, and all of a sudden it was over and you were going, where did the time go? That's bending time, because time expands and contracts to come into alignment with us, because it's down in body. And everything down in the bottom of the circle changes. It changes. It is acted upon by what? Thought. Thought. I know I was pointing to my brain. My brain is the tool for thought, but you got it. It's acted upon by thought, because thought changes form. And some would say, oh, well, even thought is an effect. Something happened before the thought. That's true, but I don't know what it is, so I can't teach you that. When we think a thought, it affects physical form. So you can play with time. And I encourage you to do that. If you feel like, oh my God, I'm late, no. For that matter, stop. Take a deep breath, relax. And then know that you are where you are meant to be, exactly when you're meant to be there. Know that you are on time. That's why I encourage people to come to class on time. I encourage us to start on time. You notice I'm not a teacher that drags the class out 15 minutes after it's over. We end on time, because I am teaching you to master time, to develop an on-time consciousness, so that you get what you want on time. You don't have a late life. Don't have a late life. You're not a late person. Spirit isn't late by means of you. If you're experiencing lateness, take a deep breath, slow down, don't speed up, because all you're doing is feeding fear. Slow down, get clear, set your intention, and then move forward. Only move forward knowing that time doesn't affect you. I have gone across town in big towns in under 30 seconds, bending time. Does anybody play with bending time? Cool. Cool. Isn't it fun? It's relative. It is. Time is relative. Everything in the bottom of the circle is relative. So play with bending time, and then you won't feel like you're bound by it. Anything that makes you feel bound, whether it's your physical body, your money, your job, time, a person, that's all ruling you, and you do not get ruled. You are the ruler of your life. You are not ruled by other things. How many people are in Kate's Troward class? Good. My favorite Troward quote, take a deep breath. When you allow your purpose to be contingent upon any person, place, or thing, you have descended to the level of secondary causation, and that is the level of doubt, fear, and limitation. You are cause to your life. You are primary causation. Nobody's the boss of you. Nobody rules you. No thing rules you. You create your life. You are the cause to your experience. And when you think your good is dependent on somebody else, something else, somewhere else, then you are then at effect of the cause that you created to be boss of you. Troward is saying you'll see it right away. You'll have doubt. Oh my God, what am I doing? I don't know if I'm doing. Oh gee, fear. Oh no, everything's going to fall apart. And limitation. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I can't do this. When you're there, you have created secondary causation. And so the important thing to do with that is to realize that all of these experiences in your life are your creation. You are the captain of your ship. Nobody is the boss of you. Sorry, Sherry. Barbara says, nobody's the boss of me. And that's the truth.
That's Sharon.
Yes, that's Sharon. So here we have in the book, he's gonna say something that has driven me crazy for 30 some odd years. He's gonna say soul, but I've changed it to what makes much more sense to me is law. Law. Keep in mind, he wrote this, or published it, his mother published it for him in 1920, I think she published it in 25, this was officially published in 26. So he wrote this in the 20s. And what he was trying to do was trying to get in touch with that part of us, that invisible part of us. And he had, he's got a lot of Christian background, so he wants to do the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, that kind of thing, the soul, and have it all work out. I find law just so much more clear. So there is spirit and whatever that means. It is invisible. It is a generating energy, but it never ends. It's always beginning, but never ending. Now we're into like the one hand clapping and the tree in the forest. There's a principle of creation that is always creating because that's its nature. There's a principle that is always beginning, but how come it can never end? Because it's infinite. What would happen if the infinite had an end? It wouldn't be infinite. It would be after the infinite. That'd be a funny story, after the infinite. So you've got something that's always beginning but never ending and is on a constant form of creation because that's its nature and it has to be true to its nature. So we have this idea of the creative substance of life moving through whatever this is. And we have a lot of words for this, but frankly, nobody knows. Nobody knows why the molecules in your table are hanging together. They know that there's an electromagnetic pole and that there's a little gravity in there, and that if they didn't hang together, everything would have blown up long ago. But they don't really know how it is that form comes into being, other than one of the very cool things that I learned in my astronomy class in UNCA was that when the very base, do you want to hear this?
Yeah.
Good, I want your buy-in because I'm going off on a tangent. A basic beam of light is called a photon. And when two photons crash into each other, they spit out a little piece of matter called a neutrino. And a neutrino is the building block of matter. So when light or energy hits energy or light at high speeds, it spits out matter. Isn't that cool? I mean, they're actually showing how energy turns into matter. And then you've got the particle wave, particle wave, particle wave, particle wave of all of our realities flashing in and out. So just pick which time right before it flashes in and make it different. Well, I can't change this. Sure you can. It's not even here half the time. It's not solid. Your problems are not only not real, they're not solid. They're not solid. Even the illusion of them is not solid. So we have words in the middle like what? Give me some.
Creative medium.
Creative medium. I love that. What else?
Unformed substance.
Unformed substance. I like that one too because it's unformed. What else?
Passive and receptive.
Ooh, it's passive and receptive. Now, this isn't like passive aggressive. This isn't passive like in transactional analysis where you're dumb door doormat. It just means that it cannot have any resistance. It cannot tell you that this is a good idea or a bad idea. which is, in my opinion, a positive, but some people find that distressing because they want some kind of something that will save them. They want something that will intervene in their life and save them from themselves. This cannot. It can only take what you give it and bring it into form, so it's passive, it's receptive, it's impersonal. That's another thing that people sometimes don't like. Why would someone not like the fact that law is impersonal?
If it was personal, it would put its own personality onto whatever came into it.
Right, but why would they not like that?
Because
Susan?
I think because it would be I would have a feeling of no control.
Okay, feeling of no control, Valerie?
A feeling of disconnection.
Because they feel disconnected, they want the love. They want to feel the love, but just because the law is impersonal doesn't mean that spirit is impersonal. And spirit, remember, is not separate from the law. The law is the way spirit works. So some people go, oh, you're so cold. No, we just don't have something that's going to intervene regardless of what we've done, and something that we can lean on to try to get that warm fuzzy from. But anyone who has spent any time in spiritual practice and meditation and opening up, do you not feel the love? Because love is all that there is. So when you open up to that which is beyond this physical realm, you feel love. Sometimes you see things, but you feel love. So some people don't like that it's impersonal because they want that warm fuzzy thing. And some people don't like that it's passive because they found in their own lives that being passive has led them be hurt. But we don't want to take our own judgments and project it onto all that is. We want to stop making God in our image and likeness and start making us in the image and likeness of the divine. Does that make sense? So it's passive, it's receptive, it's impersonal. And what that means is that even if you have screwed up all of your life and you change the way you think and change the way you look at the world, it can't say, oh no, you're a dirty, rotten sinner, you don't get to have a good life. It can't do that. It doesn't matter what has happened in the past. You start fresh and new literally every moment of every day. And so you start with a clean slate. What do you want to create in this moment? How do you want it to be? Think the thought, set the intention, set the law in motion, and there is nothing that can stop you. Nothing can stop you. Doesn't matter what the weather's doing, what the economy's doing, what your job is doing, it doesn't matter. Nothing can stop you because the law is passive. It's not going to resist you. You want to be a millionaire? Go for it. It is receptive, meaning it takes everything. It doesn't resist. And it is impersonal. Whatever you tell it, it goes, okay, whatever you want. I am here to serve you. If you want to marry that person that you've married 10 times before with a different face and a different name, go for it. Or if you want to forgive and release the past and open up yourself to having an amazing relationship, go for it. All it can say is yes. What is that? There was a
Yes,
line,
Your wish is my command.
your wish is my command. The Aladdin, your wish is my command. So rather than go into, well, I want a more personal experience with spirit, great. Have a personal experience with spirit. I love my CSO. Boy, that has really given me a way to wrap my head around having something that is me, greater than me, and yet not outside of me, but I don't have to do it all by myself. Every morning I write a letter to my CSO, my Chief Spiritual Officer, came from the Prosperity class, which is available online. I was really delighted with our website release yesterday. How many people were here yesterday? Wasn't that fantastic? It has taken those people 6 months of work to create that. So I'm playing to the camera. So I love this idea that it's all about me, but there's something greater. One of my favorite quotes, and John told me he told it to the prosperity class on the night of the fire walk, and I'm all, you got that from me. One of my favorite quotes in the textbook is, bring your burdens to the altar of, place your burdens on the altar of love to be consumed by the fires of faith in the living God. If you have a burden, give it over. But you're not giving it over to someone outside of yourself. You're not giving it over and begging or bartering or trying to negotiate something. You're not buying your way out. You're simply turning it over to what? To love. Give it over to love. Give yourself to love. And watch how it vanishes. And then you get to experience that greater level of love and greater level of faith. So just because law is impersonal doesn't mean that your experience with spirit is impersonal. But this is where you get to hold on. It's like 95% of people with this cancer die. Chances are you're going to be dead in 3 months. Well, the law doesn't know anything about 95%. So we're going to know that you're in absolute, perfect, vibrant health. And here we are, not me, here we are 10 years later, completely in remission, completely healthy. Why? Because the law doesn't know about statistics. It doesn't know about history. It doesn't know about what your friends think. All it knows is what you put into it and what you give it. That's why it gets to be so important for you to be careful about what you're giving it, what you're thinking, what you're setting in motion. There are no vacations from this. There's no vacations. You don't get a break. Say, give me a break, you're liable to get one. I've seen that written on casts. All I said was, give me a break. You don't get a break. What you get to do is you get to set the law in motion over and over and over and over and over again, and I'll give it to you, it's a lot of work. It's not bad work. It's not like, going to kill your work. It's actually going to give you life work. But it is a big job for you to be mindful of what you set in motion, because there is nothing that's going to stop you from screwing up your life. And how do you screw up your life? You stay angry with somebody. You hold on to that position of victimness. I actually got a letter from someone at this center resigning their membership. 2 pages, typed letter today. Resigning their membership because they're mad that John's turning his job, quote unquote, loss into a good thing. Yes. Yes. Pardon me? Really? You can stay a victim in your life if you want, but I guarantee you this group is moving on. This group is moving on to turn lemons into lemonade, to have a what-if consciousness, to open up, to allow all kinds of great things happen, paying off mortgages, debt-free, physical healings, all kinds of stuff. And it's difficult to hold on to feeling like I'm a victim and my life is terrible and nobody at that center understands me, while we are moving on. You may have noticed that with some of your friends, that they want you to stay all mad. I joke, they would say, well, when are you coming back to the crack house? I'm not coming back to the crack house. I've moved on. When are you coming back to Gossipville? When are you coming back to rumor mongering? When are you coming back to being angry? When are you coming back to your drinking buddies? When are you coming back to being mad kind of thing? You're moving on. Why? Because the law is passive, receptive, and impersonal. And it takes whatever you give it. And frankly, everybody take a deep breath. Is it hot in here?
Oh, so.
I don't think the air's on.
Take a deep breath.
Well, what was I saying?
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
You said take a deep breath.
I know. I was going to say something really profound.
Take a deep breath, Barbara. Yeah.
We're moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on. It obviously wasn't that important.
You can change that later, right, Barbara?
That pass right there, that piece.
Edit it out.
No, I don't edit anything.
No,
You
no,
can-
I mean, you can, right, in your consciousness, go ahead, change
Change
the
the
pass.
pass.
Yes, I can, and when I do, I'll let you know. So here we are, moving forward in our consciousness, setting law in motion all day, every day. That's one reason why it's important. If you think a thought and you don't want to live it out, what do?
Change it.
Change your thought. You have a wonderful opportunity of infinite time, so you can think another thought. Sometimes people get really pressured in this teaching and they go, oh my God, I'm creating my reality, it's just all too much. And I was watching a football game and I got really caught up in it and I started yelling at the referees and now I'm gonna have to live that out. No, you aren't. Take a deep breath. Pull that, not Etch-a-Sketch. What was it when you pulled the little plastic thing off? Was that Etch-a-Sketch?
Yeah.
Pull that Etch-a-Sketch was the shaking thing. So erase that blackboard. Start all over again. You have the opportunity to think a new thought. To think a second thought. Wow, you don't like that? Do it all over again. Sometimes John and I do that. Sometimes he will actually leave the house and come back in again so we can start all over. Because we didn't do it well before. We can just start all over again. We have opportunities to do things over and over and over again if that's what we want. Or you can say, no, I'm stuck in the mess that I've made and now the pressure's all on me. No. For that matter, the part of us that thinks the pressure's on us is so small, they say that we're only using 3% of our conscious awareness. I would say we're using less than that. And besides, we're not limited to conscious awareness. We have our entire subjective awareness to work with. The part of us that is responsible for creating our reality is the part of us that directs this amazing power of life. And then that power takes it, that law takes it, unformed substance, creative medium, takes it and brings it into form. All we have to do is decide what we're going to give it. What we're going to give it. All we have to do is think about what we want. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is just to be happy. Plant happy seeds in creative medium, in unformed substance. Plant happy seeds. Plant seeds that have you being happy and having plenty of money and being healthy and laughing and being in your joy, and then just let it show up the way it wants to show up. This does not have to be a high-pressure teaching. And for that matter, when you take the pressure on yourself, you are limiting the opportunity for all of the universe to bring this into form. That's why I always say every Sunday, God has ways of giving you money you've never even dreamed of yet. There are things at work in the universe, right in here, already at work on your behalf. Past, present, future, here, there, already at work on your behalf. And you don't need to know about them. You don't need to plan it. You don't need to make it work. All you need to do is decide what you're going to put in the middle of the circle. And then get that there is something amazing that is going to take that and bring it into form. I think this idea of spiritual law is the best thing we've got going. Also, the idea of oneness is pretty good too. But this idea that it doesn't matter if it's never been done before, it doesn't matter if people are saying it's impossible, it doesn't matter if you have your own doubts, you can put it into the law. And as long as you've directed that, as long as you've picked the seeds that you want to plant and put them in there, you're going to have a harvest, you're going to have growth. You're going to have things show up in your lives, and it's your job to be aware of what you're doing, but it's not your job to hold the universe together. People, they like to challenge me and they say usually two things. Okay, if this is real, stop the sunrise tomorrow. No, I'm not going to stop the sunrise tomorrow. Come on, you're just doing that so you can leave. If you want to leave, go. If you want an excuse to have your life stay the same, then I give it to you. Go. Go now. Go, 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 go. Or the other one is then give me an affirmation and I'm gonna go buy a lottery ticket and I'm gonna win the lottery. No. Because what people don't get is that this is a lot of work because we have to change ourselves to get what we want. There are those people who look at this center as simply a grab bag for miracles. That they want to stay around the periphery, and then when there's crisis, they want to be able to reach in and pull out a miracle, like a rabbit out of a hat, without having to change themselves. And so that works occasionally, but it comes to the point where you can pull out a miracle, and then if you haven't changed yourself, you're going to recreate your problem. And recreate your problem, and recreate your problem, and then you start resisting the demonstrations or the practitioner treatments or whatever because you're digging your heels in. And this is not pull out a miracle. This is change your energy, change your thought, change your intention, set spiritual law in motion over and over and over and over and over again, and watch how the form of your life shifts. So if you need a miracle, great, pull out a miracle. But then get very busy changing what created you needing a miracle, so you don't have to go back and change and pull out another one, because there comes a point in time when we have to live with ourselves. No matter how many practitioners we have, no matter what a great center we have to live with ourselves because we are what is showing up. It's like trying to do a geographical change. The problem is we take us with us, and then we recreate our lives all over again. It's like trying to divorce our problems away. That doesn't work. Then we just recreate them. That's why so many people who have won the lottery don't have any money right now. Well, some people are worse off than they ever were before they won the lottery because they didn't change inside of themselves. But the good news is that there is nothing outside of you that will keep you from having what you want if you are willing to do the work inside. I love that. Because I was one sick puppy when I walked into this teaching. I was 24 years old. I would vacillate between drugs and alcohol. I would go on drugs to try to give my liver a rest from all the alcohol I was drinking. The logic of an addict. Had a 3-year-old. I was on welfare, had no place to live, no job, no money, giving plasma twice a week. You know, I living on food stamps. When I first started tithing at my first Science of Mind Center, I tithed food stamps. That's all I had. So, there was nothing outside of me that said, you are a bad girl. There is no way you're going to have a great life. You are doomed to misery and failure. There was nothing outside of me that could say that. Every time I cleaned up my thoughts, every time I set my intention, every time I planted a seed in this passive, receptive, impersonal law, it took it and it grew it. Just took it and grew it. So inside of 3 months, I had a job, I had an apartment, I had a car, I had a life going on. 3 months is all it took. And inside of 5 years, I was making 6 figures, I was driving a Cadillac, I was married to my second husband. I had not quite worked out relationships by then, but I had worked the outside manifestations. I was the associate minister at the Miami Church of Religious Science. I was hot stuff. In 5 years, I did that. There was nothing that could stop me if I wasn't going to stop myself. But it takes vigilance. It takes vigilance, not that, oh my God, I'm going to have a terrible thought and then I'm going to be screwed, I'm going to be doomed to living this out. No. I had a thought that was not the best of me. So, you know, I'm going to take a deep breath because I don't want to get into the fight or flight. I don't want to get all reactive. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to pause. And I'm going to think about, now, do I really want to live in an angry world filled with dirty, rotten rack and fratchets? No, I don't think I want to. So I'm going to choose to let that story go, because Barbara says it doesn't really happen unless I say it happens. It only means what you make it mean. And I'm going to create a new reality that says I am loved and supported by the universe and by all of life, and everyone in my experience loves me and supports me. Doesn't matter if you think a thought that you don't want to live. Just stop thinking it. Just stop planting those seeds. It'd be as if the farmer mixed up their seeds in their seeder and started planting thistles instead of wheat. Just stop it. And then clean it all up and plant something new. The soil's going to grow whatever you give it. Law's going to manifest whatever we give it. And I think it's fascinating that time and space are so malleable. So incredibly malleable. It's like people. If you criticize someone, they will turn into an awful person around you. Not necessarily around anybody else. So, what's in the bottom? Time and space. Form. Form. Yay, form. I like form. What else? Effect. Results.
Illusion of matter.
Where does cause go in this? If effect is on the bottom? Ah, cause. So, everything in the bottom is an effect. Everything in the bottom is an effect. Your physical body is what? An effect. What the doctor says you do or do not have is what? An effect. The amount of money you've got in the bank is what? An effect. Your car is what? Yes, it's all an effect. And where does the effect come from? Cause. What's the cause? Your thought. Your thought. Your intentions. Your beliefs about how life is. I've talked to so many people who says, all men are this way. All women are this way. All politicians are this way. No. That's a belief. And if you believe that, that's what's going to happen. That's what you're going to bring into your experience. It always concerns me when someone gets that look in their eye and they go, my soulmate. Because it could very easily be a masochist finally finding their sadist. It could be very easily one neuroses hooking into another neuroses and getting off on the rush of it all. So what we want to make sure we do is create something that is healthy, create a healthy life, create a life of joy and prosperity and health and wholeness. And if we don't have that in our lives, it's because we didn't put it up here. You cannot have poverty down here and prosperity up there. If you've got it, you planted it. If you've got it, you created it. If you've got it, you did it. And the reason that that's so great, even though at the time it doesn't feel that great, is that you then can do it differently. And it doesn't have to be a big pressure. It doesn't have to be this big deal. Okay, now I have to create my life. Just think a second thought. What do I want? Do I really want to do this? You know, it doesn't feel good after 3 seconds. So my God, how is it going to feel after 3 years? I don't want to do this. What do I want? Well, I want to feel good. I want to be happy. I want to trust in life. I want to be open. I want to be able to live my life richly and fully. Well, go ahead. Start talking it up. Start making it real. Start putting energy into it. Plant those seeds in the fertile soil of mind, and nothing in the entire universe can stop you. It doesn't matter if you have people all around you chanting. That's impossible. It'll never happen. It doesn't matter. The universe takes it, the law takes it, and says, as What is the phrase?
Your
Your wish is my command. Your wish is my command. Whatever it is you give me, I will grow it up and I will make it so. And I will bring it forth. So it is completely up to us. So don't get lost in the, oh gee, science of mind is so heavy, there's no heart to it. That's absurd. It's all heart. There's only love. But there is a way that this thing works that can help you work it. And we draw it out like a circle with some lines in it just so we can wrap our heads around it. But there is something up here in energy with no form that ends up down here in form. There is something up there. And when we are clear as to what we plant in that fertile soil of mind, we are much clearer about what we get. And it can be, excuse me, it can be manifesting tangible form. Somebody called me today and said, I've lost a piece of clothing that belongs to someone else, and I must find it now. So I went into treatment. I know there's nothing lost in divine mind, including this jacket. I know that it's here. I claim it, I call it forth, I accept it, I give thanks for it, and so it is. And sure enough, it pops up. It can be something tangible, or it can be something more energetic. It can be that we choose to live in more love. We choose to live as a more trusting person. We trust. We are open. We are happy. Why do you think we are chanting, today is a happy day? First of all, it works. But it works. Excuse me. Excuse me. It works because we are setting law in motion. There are some people equally who chant, today is an awful day. This is just an awful day. I know people who say they used to get up in the morning with me tattooed on their head. And they felt that way, and so that's what they created in every experience and with every person. That's what they created. But you can just as easily tattoo, bless me. Everybody is for my good. Everything happens for my good. The entire universe supports me. I am lifted up. I am joy-filled. I have the Midas touch. I have the golden touch. All doors are open. The carpet is rolled out, and I walk forward in ease and grace. It's your choice. So if you find yourself thinking thoughts that you don't want to live, remember the breath is really important because the breath stops the reactive mind. It's a whole biochemical thing. This is therapy in a nutshell. Take a breath. It changes everything. Take a breath, think a thought, choose, and then think the thought that you want to live. No matter how far-fetched or ridiculous it seems. That's why the what if thing is so great, because it actually stops your brain from going off on an endless firing of ain't it awful, or the worst that can happen, and that spiral down. What if? Take a breath. Just stop. Plant a new thought. And then all that law can do is take it and bring it into form. Let's take a break.
Hi, welcome back. I trust you had a fantastic experience with Barbara this evening, and that you're ready to put into practice the things that you've picked up tonight. It is a wonderful class, and I'm glad that you were able to experience it. So to close out, we're going to do a spiritual mind treatment and let this be our conclusion for the night. So if you would, join me in knowing the truth that there is a presence and a power that dwells in, through, and as all things. It is whole, complete, infinite, and has absolute power. And the cool thing about it is not separate from anyone or anything. All things dwell in this presence. And because of that, it is who and what we are. And recognizing that and knowing that, we take into account all the good in our lives, and we use that to create these loving, wonderful, powerful lives. And I know only good comes to us as we awaken to this truth within, and as we take this that we've gained from this class and use it to make our lives better and better and better. And I am grateful for everyone that comes this way to learn this truth about themselves and about life itself. And I am grateful for my life, for Barbara's life, and for all the good that fills us up. And with that, we move off into whatever is next, taking with us that which has changed and opened us up to the fullness of life. And knowing that all is well, we simply let it be so. And so it is. Thank you again for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you again very soon.